They called her the girl in the box. A name that sounds like the title of a horror film, but this wasn't fiction. It was real. For 7 long years, Colleen Stan lived as a prisoner, hidden in plain sight, under the control of a man who used fear and manipulation as his weapons. It began on May 19, 1977. Colleen was just 20 years old, full of life, with her whole future ahead of her. That afternoon, she decided to hitchhike from Oregon to Northern California to visit a friend for her birthday. Hitchhiking back then was risky, but it wasn't unusual. People trusted strangers more than they do today. And when a couple in a blue Dodge Colt pulled over to offer her a ride, Colleen thought she was lucky. Inside the car were Cameron and Janice Hooker, a young married couple. They looked completely ordinary, harmless even. Janice was holding their baby in her arms. Who would ever suspect danger? But within an hour, Colleen would realize that she had just stepped into a nightmare. At first, the drive seemed normal. They made small talk. Everyone smiled. But then, Cameron pulled off the main road and into a deserted area surrounded by trees. Before Colleen could react, Cameron reached for something hidden inside the car, a strange wooden box he had built himself. Heavy, lined with padding, designed for one purpose. He forced Colleen inside and locked it shut. In an instant, her world turned to darkness. The air was stifling. She could barely breathe. Her freedom was gone. From that day forward, Colleen lived mostly inside that coffin-like box. Sometimes it was kept under the couple's bed. Sometimes in a basement. The space was so tight she couldn't sit up or stretch her legs. Hours turned into days. Days into weeks. Weeks into years. The silence was suffocating. And every time the box closed, Colleen was reminded that her life belonged to them. But Cameron Hooker wasn't just controlling her body, he wanted her mind as well. He told Colleen a story about a powerful secret organization called the Company. He said they were always watching her. If she disobeyed, if she tried to escape, if she even thought about telling someone the truth, the company would kill her and her family. He described in graphic detail how they would do it. The fear was overwhelming, and it worked. Colleen became too terrified to resist. For 7 years, she lived in a cycle of captivity and manipulation, locked in the box for hours, sometimes nearly all day, let out only when Cameron allowed it. Her life was reduced to silence, darkness, and fear. But here's the chilling part. Sometimes, Colleen was allowed outside. She cooked meals. She did chores. She even spent time in the yard. On one occasion, she was taken to visit her own family. Her parents sensed something was wrong. She was nervous, distant, and oddly reserved, but she never told them the truth. The grip of fear was too strong. The company was always in her mind, so her parents believed she had joined some kind of strange religious group. The truth was unthinkable, that their daughter was being held as a slave. Her spirit crushed by lies. The years dragged on, and the more time passed, the more Colleen accepted her new reality. She even signed a so-called contract, written by Cameron, declaring herself his slave for life. To outsiders, it looked bizarre, but to Colleen, it was survival. As long as she obeyed, the company wouldn't come for her. At least, that's what she believed. But Cameron's wife, Janice, was growing restless. At first, she went along with his twisted fantasies, but as the years passed, jealousy and fear began to gnaw at her. She worried about losing her husband completely to Colleen, and the burden of keeping such a dark secret became too heavy. Finally, in 1984, after 7 years of silence, Janice broke. She told Colleen the truth. The company didn't exist. It was all a lie. Cameron had invented it to control her. Every moment of fear, every sleepless night, every decision to stay silent built on nothing more than manipulation. For Colleen, the realization was devastating, but it was also liberating. For the first time, she saw a path to freedom. No shadowy organization, no powerful men watching her, just Cameron Hooker, and he could be stopped. Not long after, Colleen left. She went straight to the authorities. When Cameron was arrested, the world finally learned the truth about the girl in the box. In court, prosecutors revealed the terrifying details of her captivity, the box, the contract, the years of psychological torture, Cameron Hooker was sentenced to over 100 years in prison for kidnapping and sexual assault. He is still behind bars today. Colleen Stan, however, did not let her nightmare define her forever. She rebuilt her life. She became a survivor, not just a victim. And though the scars of her past remain, she is proof of the incredible strength of the human spirit. But her story leaves us with haunting questions. How could someone be held captive for so long? Hidden in plain sight, how many others suffer in silence, trapped not just by chains or walls, but by fear and manipulation? The girl in the box reminds us that evil doesn't always look like a monster lurking in the dark. Sometimes, it hides behind a friendly smile, a married couple, and a ride that seemed safe. And sometimes, the scariest prisons are the ones built inside the mind.